So just a quick recap. I took it apart again. I switched over the lobes. So basically there was a side with 2 dots on it. So I put both of those facing up, and it seems to have done much better. So the release is better. So the tuning, I'll have to go back on video to see how that was done initially, but that sounds a whole lot better than what I had it. So we'll do one more sound comparison since I'm just doing a quick update on it. So you're going to have Benchmade, Kershaw, and then Medford. I think it's a lot better. So whether that be the case, I'll look at it again. But if those lobes were installed the wrong way, that could have been the issue. So we'll see. But thanks a lot. I'll probably put it at the front of the video, and then you can go through the whole thing if you want to. How's it going? This is David Blade Banter, working to bring you specifications you can write to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. We're going to be ending out probably the last video I'll do on the Medford knife. This one is the Merc-1, so this is going to be the OTF. So this is going to be their first OTF hexagon lock. If you've been following through, or if you want to watch the previous ones, I've had a few issues with it. Just went back to the factory twice on it. It is working for the most part, but I'm going to take it apart because it's still lagging a little bit. I'm going to see how it is inside, if there's any type of wear areas that are not wearing in properly. But we're going to be doing that. So it does have the proprietary hardware on the backside. So I did get the proprietary hardware. So I bought that from them. Now this is a $50 little piece there. You can use something else. I mean, you can. I saw another video. I saw another video where somebody modified a flathead screwdriver also to open it up. But this is the one from them. So I picked that up. So we're going to have on the table just some other ones that I have as well. So this one's coming in. So thank you very much for Benchmade to send that through. So I can take a look at that. And then these two are my own. So this is the Benchmade for the Shootout. There's a drop point. And sorry about it. Still a little dirty. I've been cutting a few things with it. Not too much, but just to see how it worked. And then you're going to have the Medford. And then you're going to have the Livewire. So these are 3 that I'm going to look at for it. So the purpose of the lock mechanism is to try and get a little bit more blade out of the knife. So I'm just having them stand up on end. So you see a little bit difference for blade length. The Medford still is a little bit longer overall, but not by a lot. Definitely between the Benchmade and the Medford, that's going to be pretty close. Livewire is going to be a little bit shorter. But we'll look at these. So quick rundown as I do these, and then we'll get into the opening it up. So I'm going to rate these a little bit. So as far as where they sit, so USA made, USA company, USA made, USA company, USA made Japanese company. So they are now from Kai USA. So that's Kai is a Japanese company. They've been bought out since I think it was 80s. But it is USA made company, USA product, USA workers, USA made product and workers. And then this one's going to be injection molded. So as far as putting in some type of order, so if you're going for just USA made, USA made product in the factory. There's a few parts that are sent out. They do have the slider is MIM or MIM, metal injection molded. So that's going to be quite a bit of cost there. Then you're going to have the Benchmade, and then you're going to have the Kershaw. So USA made, probably the highest level USA made. Then also USA made, but injection molded, so a little bit less craftsmanship in a way. I mean, a lot of engineering, granted, but this is where they have to work a lot more on this one than the molding. So once you get the molding, then you're able to repeat it very easily. And then you're going to have over to this side. So the Kershaw is going to be on this one. So all 3 of these are going to be USA made, but this is going to be a Japanese company. So that's where it drops it down a little bit for that. For a cutting angle, the Medford is going to be a little bit on the higher side. It has a double action, or double aisle, or there's 2 points for it. So you're going to have, you see that tanto area, Let's try and do this on there. We have that tanto area. So tanto area will bring you up to about 12 degrees. Tip's going to be probably about 40 degrees. So for cutting side, so that's going to be 12 and 40. This one's going to be a little bit higher for this guy. So let's zero this out. Yep, so zero that one out there. This is going to be a pretty high tip angle. We'll figure out how to do this a little bit better later. So this is going to be about 46 for that blade angle. And then for the Kershaw, you're going to have a tip angle about 23. So that's actually a pretty nice angle for that. So for cutting purposes, I would probably put, for getting into boxes, it's going to be this guy. Even though the tip angle is higher, this one is going to be better for cutting performance, and then this one is going to be, even though the angle's good, it's quite a bit thicker, so that's going to cause a little bit more issues going through boxes. So it really depends on the aesthetic you're going for, because you can definitely see, I can probably put the other two blades together and meet up to the Medford. So it is a very much wider blade, which is also why it's probably much slower. But this one, it just, cutting wise, it's not the best for what you get out of the box. Price wise, what you're going to be getting, so this is going to be probably the Kershaw, then the Benchmade, then it's going to be over to the Medford knife. I'm just looking up on some of the sites here. So the Kershaw, roughly $219 at this point as you're watching this. The Benchmade is currently $292 for that guy. And then the Medford's in it still $600. That's another kind of gripe I have about this one. So if you see on this blade, it's going to be, as far as how high this primary is, that would help out with the cutting performance. This one is quite a bit more shallow. So if you see on this one in comparison, it's a lot shallower. So this angle is going to be really very steep going to that cutting edge. So you have probably, I don't know, you have a little bit of space there to get a little bit more cutting angle on that. So if it actually went up to how it's pictured. I did put a new edge on this one as well, so now that is the edge I put onto it. I did kind of go into that primary, or this drop down area. I was trying to get as close as I could to getting it done, but that's what it is. So that's one of the gripes that I have for it. Yeah, it doesn't look like that. So if you look at that primary in comparison to this primary grind, it's going to be quite a bit different. So I guess for the price point, I would expect it to be as pictured or as close to it. I know it's still going to be artistry and everything else, but for $600, this is not one of 100. So there's 100 of them made out of the first run of the Proof Strike. All of them are one of 100. I actually am number 4, so this is number 4 out of 100 for this blade shape. But that's what that is. So overall, I like the way it looks, but there's just some things that are not the best for it. So it's a good try for it, and we'll see what it looks like on the inside, if there's something that I can do to kind of correct it where I really enjoy it a lot more. But we're going to look at this also. So pocket clip side, the Kershaw is going to be quite a bit stiffer getting into the pocket. Just it's a smaller clip. Benchmade, you're going to have a wide variety of clips, just for the fact that it's Benchmade, so it's the same pattern. So you're going to have the Kershaw. So people have issue with the angled clip, but as it's in your pocket, I mean, the angle clip actually works for what it's kind of intended for. So if you don't like the aesthetics of it, that's going to be why that's like that. But then the Benchmade and then the Medford, I do like how the clip works for retention and everything, so it is a nice clip. So that was some issue as well as far as production side, because this was over a year as far as when the deposit was put down till when the knife was sent out. So it just has quite a bit more retention. Benchmade, again, you can change the clip to whatever you want, even aftermarket clips, and you're going to have the Medford. So the Medford is also, again, proprietary, as I stumble on that. So it's going to be something that if you are a left-hand carrier, if you want to carry it on that left-hand side, you are going to have to either buy the tool, or you're going to have to just modify something or find some spanner wrench to be able to do that, to flip that clip over. It doesn't have any other hardware. So we'll see how it goes. There is a ball bearing in the switch area, so hopefully I don't lose that. But overall, I like how this operates. So even in a downward position, operates well. Also lighter blade. Benchmade operates well. Lighter blade. Also more tactical probably. So just for the amount of ramp that is. So if you're going to be using this in really a dire straight, you're probably going to want that, because that is something where it's most likely not going to slip on you. So Medford. So just a quick audio thing. Kershaw, Benchmade, Medford. So not a bad thing, but it's a little bit slow, especially on that 45-degree angle. And when you cut, and it's at 45-degree angle, you pull it back. It's a little bit slower as gravity and everything else. Maybe if the spring was a little bit tighter, that would help. I think it's about 5 pounds for the pull on this. So that's going to be, again, just a weight thing. You hear the dogs barking. So we'll try and get this. Yeah, so about 5 pounds open. About a little bit over 5 pounds closed. So that's going to be kind of in the middle right now. Check out the Benchmade. Ooh, 6 pounds open. Almost 5.9 closed. So that's going to be on the higher end of things as far as that pull. Then Kershaw, 4. And 3 pounds 14 ounces, almost 15 ounces. So as far as the operation of it, so there's going to be that range. So this is going to be the lightest pull, open close, medium pull, open close, and then there's going to be the heaviest pull, open close. So really you got to determine what's going to work for you. But we're going to move these on to the side. All these would be a solid option, lifetime warranty on all of them actually. So they're in Tualatin, Oregon, then Arizona, and then these are going to be in Oregon City, Oregon. So the only thing about autos, there's kind of iffy about sending things in. So I haven't had to do that, but it's a little iffy on that. So we're going to take a look at these. So we're going to open this one up, see how it is. There's already one thing I noticed on this one is going to be, you can't really see it there, but inside there is just some, it looks like there's some blade contact. So there's a little bit of a line there, but it's aluminum compared to the S45 blade. But we'll see how this looks, how hard this is. We'll disengage this so it's not under pressure anymore. So that's open. So see how this is, how this locks in there. So it locks very, very tightly. My hand's a little. Yeah, so the tolerance on that is pretty fantastic. It'll probably just stay in there. So a bit of Loctite on it just to keep it in place. But then you'd move the clip over if you want to move the clip. So it doesn't have any other retention. So it does have, basically on the back side, it'll have the grooves for it to stop it from moving, rocking side to side. But it does have just that one single point of contact. And then this slides open, and I think there's something, okay, either way. Oh. Yeah. So there we go. So there's the front side of it. So where the carriage is and everything, so that where that rides. I'm not really seeing too much wear marks as far as where anything's making contact. You do have the MIM switch. It's a really nice switch. And I guess there were some that were saying that it seems cheap, but yeah, it's a quality product. So as far as the way it looks and everything else, and then just the way that the grooves are, it's just a really nice setup. So it has a good polish on it, because it is going to be injection molded steel. So that's going to be, it's nice. I mean, so that's nice. It does have this little spring here. You see there? It has this itty little bitty ball. For some reason I was expecting it to be a different material, but that's the little ball there. So hopefully I don't lose those as we do this. So then you have the carriage, pretty much the whole motor. And then the vulcanization. So initially I didn't really understand what they were doing with it, but basically this vulcanization they have on the spring stops it from that little twang noise. Some people thought it was cool. I thought it was horrendous. So they do that for it. There's also, I hear, so white lithium grease is going to be a good way to kind of take care of that. But that's going to be kind of a cool thing there. And so blade comes right out. Then you have these little dogs, I would say. So referring to something that's kind of like a ratchet in a way, but it has a leaf spring. We'll put it under here. So it has a leaf spring. Leaf spring there and a little dog. So that's going to be how that retains there. You do see some milling, some machine work on the inside. Then you're going to have the lower side. Now, so same type of setup with that dog and with that leaf spring there. So as far as where it's rubbing, I'm not sure. Because this is one that, so the first time I sent it in, because I was finding in that downward angle it was failing coming back in, so it was just felt a little bit slow. So that's where I was sent in the first time. Second time is when, so I got it back and it had the twang, kind of like this type of, you could hear the spring. So that's going to be the Chinese made one, but yeah, I'll have to take a look at this. So I mean, it just runs on the track there. So I'll probably put a little bit of oil on that just to see if I can help with that. So this is a little hexagon locking mechanism. So that's where those dogs would catch the side of it, I think. How do I put it back in? Some of the lighting is not the best. That's probably going to be where I have to actuate it with the... There you go. So basically you have to, I struggle with that. So in putting it back in, you'd have to actually move that out of the way. So this one here, just grab that, move it out of the way. this would be the upper retention. Yep. So that's what keeps it from popping out. So when this is in place, it interacts with this upper area here to keep it retained. So if this wasn't there, then the blade would just come right out. But that's what keeps it going. So when you have to put it back in, retract that one out of the way, and then when it goes all the way back down, it passes the other dog there and locks into place right behind this guy. So as far as the design, I don't know why there's two necessarily, because it seems to only lock on one side. So there's kind of two sections of it, but only activates on one end. Maybe for balance reasons that would be the case, but I'm not too sure. But that's where it's just learning about this, as far as there's always going to be reasons for it, and always going to be things that are done a certain way for a reason. But for this one, I'm not sure, because there's not any other retention point inside. Nope, I just dropped the dog out. That's not ideal. So I tapped it to try and get something off the bottom side, and then I popped the piece out. So as long as I don't lose it, then that's fine. There's no other retention for it. So these just pop into place. So these might be an area that could rattle, but basically the lock portion is going to be the end of it, because these pop right out. So that drops right back in. So those pop right out, so don't lose those, but that actuates and locks, and then rides right on the frame. The reason why I was tapping it seemed like there was some junk in there. I'll probably grab a piece of plastic here. I was going to grab a toothpick or something, but yeah, so some of the spring vulcanization, I almost lose it. So as some of the spring vulcanization has come off already, definitely don't tap this. But once you get the idea as far as how it works, it's really a pretty slick setup. There you go. So you're back in there. So those are working, springs in place, moving good. We'll clean this up, and then we'll lubricate, put it back together, and then I'll figure out how that ball goes back in there as well. I'm not really seeing much to... there's not really major wear or anything on the inside, so there's definitely a good coating for it, but we'll get that all lubricated up. So let's just get this cleaned up, and then we'll lubricate it, put it back together. But yeah, this little piece of vulcanization fell off of the spring already. So I might need to take this apart later, put on some of the lithium grease for the knife, just so I don't have that type of spring noise. It won't affect the operation, but definitely affects how I feel about it when I'm using it. I just don't like the sound of it. Got all these parts. There's not really much grease or anything, so it's very, very dry. So there's not any type of lubricant that I can see in here. So whether that be good or bad, I'm going to do the KPL. So this is their ultralight. So this is going to be what I'm going to be using just to see if that works for it. I know there was I think a 3-in-1 or some other type of lubricant that was recommended. So if it goes poorly, then that's on me. But I'm actually going to put it on these little dogs here, because it basically contacts right with the frame. So I'd rather have some lubricant between that. Whether that's needed or not, I don't know. Also, I'm going to put some between these leaf springs. That's going to be also a point of contact. And then we're going to put some on the actual frame. So we'll put it kind of down lower, since this is going to be kind of riding up and down that channel. So as you put this back in, so actually we'll lubricate this side here. So I'm going to lubricate these sides. So this looks like it's the kind of the contact point for the handle frame. So if there's any type of resistance, that's probably going to be where that's coming from. I will put some on this lower frame too, just in case. This goes back together, so lift up that dog because that goes all the way through. So these have contact points here as well. This might be overdone for the amount of lubricant I'm putting on this, but that feels a lot better, very smooth in that action. So I'm actually going to add some on this back area too. And then we'll add some on the front side before I put it back together. So quite a bit more lubrication than it came with. It is a lightweight lubricant, so that should help out to not gum it up or not have adverse reactions or effects to this knife. But if it does, then I'll take it back apart because I have the tool now. And then we'll open it back up. Maybe. There we go. Open back up. Yep, so that's nice there. I still don't like, no, so again, price point is a hard thing to justify, but for price point wise, the things that are like machine marks, I just wouldn't expect that on something that's $600, but it just might be the way, kind of how the game is, but yeah, it's just kind of all those rough tooling marks on the inside. Granted, you're not going to see that very often, so if you're not going to be taking it apart like I did, then you're not going to see that. But it's just something that anybody that's putting together sees that, so that's probably something that is acceptable as far as how it looks on the inside of the knife. That's going to be there. Carriage. So it probably rides on here as well. So I'll probably lubricate this front side here, just a little bit on this front slide. Oop, that's quite a bit more than I wanted. And that also will run on this channel, so I'm going to lubricate that channel. So put this back in there. Let's disengage it, then we'll put it back in there. So we might have some jump cuts on this one. If not, then I'll just let it ride, just so you can see how everything went. Yeah, so you're going to have a few different contact points. So this is going to be another contact point here, where the frame's going to slide on. That a bit. Granted, with it being more lubricated, then it might pick up more dust and stuff. So we'll see how that goes overall. And then I assume the spring, let's see. I'm guessing the spring's in the middle. I don't know what that would be for. So ball, probably going to be in here. Spring on top of that. There we go, like that. So little ball on the spring. And this goes back together. Like so. In there. Good. Hold that together. Pop this on. Which will have to match up to the switch. I think we're on there. Good. Push it back together. And back together. So let's put the clip back on there. Hold it together and see if it works. Yep. So this way. So everything is locked together, so it should not pop out or anything like that. So that's something that's nice. I'm not going to put any new thread locker on it at this point. But that's a pretty tight tolerance there. They do have a 3D printed version, but this is the metal one. I just didn't want to mess with the 3D printed one. But that's on there. It does have the glass break. Glass break. And this is what that tool looks like. Kind of a 6-gun style. Put this back together. So let's see how this works. And it's not working. What did I do? I did something wrong. Alright, so let's take it back apart. Very snug there. Pop this. I'm going to be an expert on this now by the end. So that stays in there. It goes over there. There we go, so that's open. Pop that off. That ball went flying. Let's try and get a better angle. Yep, so that's how that releases it. So it releases the lock. Okay, So let's put this back together. Hopefully I don't lose the ball again. Not horrible. I mean, I'm sure if you did this a lot, this would be a piece of cake. But I'd almost put grease on it. Just like anything that you would install, you just put a little dab of grease and it just kind of stays in place. So it still holds up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe if it's like a, talks about Porsches a lot, but maybe it's like a cam tuning thing. Like maybe the lobe is a little bit smaller, or I could have put it in backwards too. So that could be my own error. Put it in the right place. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. So have it back together. Showed you like how it works and everything for the Medford knife, the pulls and everything else. I gotta have that lobe put in the wrong way because it's right to the top. So that's my own. Yeah, I think I have that lobe put in backwards. So I'll take that apart and see if that's the right thing or not. Let me know as far as your thoughts on it. Would you go for the Medford? Would you go for the Kershaw? Or would you do, where to go? Okay. Would you do the bug out? Bailout, not bug out. So bail out on that. But let me know as far as in the comments what you think about these different blades. Took you through the arduous process of taking that apart. And then I'll see if I maybe put the lobe in the wrong way. So we'll check on that real quick. But let me know. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for stopping in. But probably the last video I'm going to have on this one. I'll see. I'll see. Take care. Thanks a lot. So just a quick recap. I took it apart again. I switched over the lobes. So basically there was a side with 2 dots on it. So I put both of those facing up. And it seems to have done much better. So the release is better. So the tuning, I'll have to go back on video to see how that was done initially, but that sounds a whole lot better than what I had it. So we'll do one more sound comparison since I'm just doing a quick update on it. So you're going to have Benchmade, Kershaw, and then Medford. I think it's a lot better. So whether that be the case, I'll look at it again. But if those lobes were installed the wrong way, that could have been the issue. So we'll see. But thanks a lot. I'll probably put it at the front of the video, and then you can go through the whole thing if you want to.